Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to my channel. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started with my two-tier cake. And I'm just doing my simple syrup, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my whipped buttercream that I've made from scratch, of course, and I can leave that recipe if you like. And so I'm just going in and filling the cake, and then I'll stack it and of course just frost it. And I also do want to mention that I always freeze my cakes if I know that they're going to be stacked. So I do freeze them, so I make sure that they're firm, and that way you won't deal with the cake just starting to crumble on you as you're trying to frost it. And for this part, I'm not really going to worry about getting the cake to be perfect because this bottom tier is going to be covered in like rosette piping. So I'm not worried about it being like super perfect. And then as you can see, I'm just doing my wooden dowels, and I'm taking a knife to make sure that those are secure and those are down in the cake. And I just do it in the shape of a triangle, and I'm going to pop it in the freezer. And then as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and start frosting up my 7-inch for the top tier. And for this top tier, I'm only doing two layers, and I've already did my simple syrup. And one thing is that I should have not tried to frost this just being the one layer of cake. I should have just waited and stacked them and then frost them, because that was just doing too much. So yeah. And since this tier is going to be covered in fondant, I do want to try to get the icing to be as smooth as possible, just so I can make sure that the fondant is super smooth for this top tier. And again, just make sure that your cake is in the freezer. And I did flip the cake to insert a long dowel, just so that way when we stack them, it goes all the way from the top tier to the bottom. So some people don't use dowels, but I do. I don't want my cake to sink in, so I just do that for just to be extra secure. So as you can see now, I'm just taking my rolled fondant and using my gloves to kind of just smooth it out. I am going to use a fondant smoother to kind of get this as smooth as possible. And you can take like kitchen scissors or an easy little paring knife to trim around your edges. And I would just be careful not to trim so much fondant off, because as you can see, I trimmed it too much, but that's okay because it's going to get covered anyway. So yeah. And next up, I already put my icing in the rosette bag, and I'm just going to go around and try to make these rosettes as even as possible. If it's not perfect, that's okay, because you can always go back and fill more icing in. So I'm just going to do this to cover the whole cake, and then we'll get to stacking. So I did go ahead and put a little frosting down to help secure my cake, and you can take two knives or your clean hands to center your tier. And then I just go ahead and take my larger dowel straight through the center of the cake where I created the hole. And then I did make little X marks or X slots, holes, whatever you want to call it, inside the fondant, just to give the roses something to slide into. So this first go around, I wasn't happy with this position of the roses on the second tier. I wasn't really happy with that, so I did take it off and redo it. I did use some of my glitter strawberries that I made, and the glitter truffles that I covered. So yeah. I'm using some of my edible gold flakes. I just love using the gold flakes or any type of sprinkles. It just helps to tie and blend everything together. So I just do a little bit of that all over the cake. And I did take some of the like edible sprays that you could get like at Walmart, just to hide or not even to hide, but just to blend that bottom rosette layer that just has the white, just to kind of blend everything together. And then I do use some sliced strawberries just to go around the border of that bottom tier. And if I didn't mention this, this is a 9-inch tier. And then I just wipe any excess buttercream off that cake board. And as you can see, this cake turned out amazing. Like, it just is so vibrant. Those glitter strawberries just look so delicious on this cake. So I hope this video was helpful. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time.